I'm Niels Mortensen, driver ambassador for TransUnited, and we're doing a pre-trip this morning. We're moving a control building for our power grid. I'm 14 wide and 15 feet tall. I'm also 38 feet long in the well for an overall of 84 feet, excuse me. I weigh about 80,000 pounds. I came from Michigan and I'm going to Syracuse, New York. So the first thing I do for a pre-trip inspection is obviously with my pedigree. I go to on duty, not driving, and click inspection on the dot. That starts my clock for the day. The second thing I do is after I've initially approached the truck, I'm looking for things on the ground like broken mirrors, pieces of the truck. I'm looking at see if a windshield's broken or if somebody's hit me. I'm looking for pools of fluid like antifreeze or oil under the truck. I'm also looking for flat tires. Anything visually wrong as I approach the truck is the second thing that I do. Raise the hood, and I do an underhood inspection first. I like to grab the steering shaft here and kind of wiggle it to make sure my U-joints are good in the steering box. The pitman arm's moving and it follows through to the suspension. You can tell a lot by doing this if you have any worn suspension parts. You also want to look at the shocks, shake it a little bit to make sure there's no play up in the column itself. Once again, check your antifreeze level. I've already checked the oil today, so I know it's good. I'm going to look around to see if you have any hoses that are chafing or rubbing on something. You also want to put protection under it if you have a spot like that. Let's see, no leaks. Okay, I'm checking out the brake system. Everything looks good there. I'm checking the wheel seal. I don't see any leaks, any problems. I'm also looking at the tire. If there's any irregular wear, it'll tell me I have a suspension or a shock problem, something like that. Checking for broken springs or hangers, and just generally visually inspecting the coolant hose, leaks from the radiator, anything that looks out of place or dangling. Just looking at my horns, the bumper mounts, pretty much everything. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Same thing over here. Look at the tire for wear, shocks, springs, hangers, hood mounts, brakes. I'm looking to see if there's a wheel seal or anything out of place down here. I'm also looking at the belts. Belts are good. Fan looks good. It's nice and tight. No leaks from the hoses. Air to air looks good. Everything seems to be in place. No leaks from the heater hoses. And my alternator connections look good. I'm happy with it. Okay. Now I'm going to do my first circle of the truck. I know most guys only do one. I do two. I'm checking all the lights. I want to make sure everything's working, including the oversized lights, clearance lights, anything that came from the factory. Everything looks good here. Tank straps look good, no leaks from the tank. Airbags are up on the tractor and the cab. Everything's tight. Now you're going to notice, yes, my airlines are touching. That is legal as long as it doesn't chafe the hose. Before I leave, I'll pull them up though. It's always a good practice. I know my glad hand connections are good. I don't hear any air or see anything like that. And I've already checked all 8 tires to make sure they're inflated. I'm going to look behind them now. Just look at the U-joints. Make sure I don't have any wheel seals out. My fifth wheel connection is good. I get under and visually inspect it. In the wintertime, especially when grease gets cold, it can prevent your fifth wheel from engaging. You'll give an initial tug on it after hooking up and it'll feel hooked. But upon a visual inspection, you'll see the handle's not in all the way and your pin's not engaged. Always check that, especially in the wintertime. My pin is locked. I don't have any wheel seals out. Everything looks good here. Both mud flaps. I've inspected the trailer and it's hooked. The airline connections are good. I'm gonna do my rest of my first walk around. Now I've checked the securement on a load. If you had one, you should really do a walk around every time you stop. Check the securement on your load. Make sure you don't have a loose tarp or anything like that. And bump all the tires. They can go flat pretty quick and sometimes you can miss it. Right now I'm looking for the lights and anything hanging down from the trailer, so we'll continue our walk around. I've already checked the tires once again, but the air suspension's aired up. I don't have any missing lugs, no cracked rims or anything like that. It's basically the same check that you did on the tractor. Tail lights and oversized look good. Everything looks good. Usually I glance underneath and check for wheel seals. I've done that, but I'm not going to lay in the mud right now. I'm also inspecting the load. I want to make sure that there hasn't been any damage to it while it's parked. If there is heavy snow on your deck in the winter, try to clear it off. Okay. No, not at all. Okay, everything looks good on this side. It's the same check as the other side. Wheel seals, loose lugs, flat tires, anything that can cause you grief on the road. Tank straps look good. Everything appears all right. Now we're going to start the truck. This part of the pre-trip is done with your engine running. I'm not going to have it running for the purpose of this video and the audio. So the truck is running. I'm checking all the gauges. Do I have any warning lights? Does the oil pressure look good? What's your fuel level? Is the battery charging? Check every gauge you have to make sure that the systems are functioning properly. Now, windshield wipers and washers. You want to check those, make sure that everything is good with that. There we go. In the winter, try to use de-icer that's the coldest you can get. It can make a big difference. We're also going to check the air horn and the city horn. I've already checked all the lights, so for now, I can shut those off. This is the part of the test where we do the brake test. Now, I have good pressure. First, we're going to test the emergency warning. You do that by pumping the brakes repeatedly until it bleeds off enough air that you can hear your warning buzzer and see the visual indicator on your dash. I have a visual indicator on the dash. It tripped at about 75 pounds. And now I'm going to start the truck to make sure I can build pressure. Indicators off, pressure's building. Okay, now we're going to do our last circle of the truck. The reason I do 2 circles, the initial one is to check the major things and the lights without the truck running. This is specifically for air suspension and brakes, to do the final walk around, catch anything I might have missed on the first go around. You also want to see if your truck is leaking anything with the engine actually running, if you hear the air compressor burping like it's supposed to purge and building up pressure. In wintertime, you want to make sure all your headlights and taillights are free of any ice or snow. During the pre-trip, your nose and your ears are as important as your eyes. Do you smell anything funny? Do you smell burning oil, burning rubber, electrical, anything like that? Anything out of the ordinary could indicate a problem. Do you hear anything squeaking or rattling like the exhaust? I know everybody has their own way of doing the pre-trip. This is just something that works for me. One last pro tip as we conclude. Check for your wallet and keys. If you lose it, odds are you lost it while you're doing your pre-trip, and it's one less thing to think about during the day.